Hi, I'm Gail and I work here at Brookfield Zoo. We're glad you've joined the thousands of other members who support Brookfield Zoo. And as a special thank you, we've put together this short video collection of some of our favorite animals. So sit back and enjoy the wondrous world of Brookfield Zoo. the Brookfield Zoo most of our visitors think about. But the zoo doesn't close when the seasons change. In fact, some members find the winter months to be the best for viewing the animals. Since I work in the children's zoo, the animals you're about to see are some of my favorites. They're among the largest animals at the zoo, and yet they're also some of the gentlest.
Meet the Brookfield Zoo Clydesdales. 8,000 pounds of horsepower in action. These magnificent draft horses represent Chicago's Brookfield Zoo throughout the greater metropolitan area. Clydesdales originated in the Clyde River Valley of Scotland, where their high, stylish step made them a popular cart, wagon, and plow horse. The breed is best known for its size and the beautiful white fur called feather on the lower legs. Although not the largest draft breed, Clydesdales may stand 6 feet high at the shoulder and weigh 2,000 pounds. As you might imagine, caring for these massive horses is no small task. Every day, each Clydesdale eats about 12 pounds of grain, 3/4 of a bale of hay, a couple of handfuls of fruits and vegetables, and several slices of bread. The horses are groomed daily. Grooming not only keeps the Clydesdales looking their best, but it's also how the horses develop trust in their handlers. Driving a draft horse hitch requires an intimate knowledge of each horse's personality. And the best way to find out what makes a horse an individual is to care for him on a daily basis. Grooming draft horses includes much more than a daily brushing. The old Scottish saying, "No foot, no horse," illustrates the importance of keeping the horse's feet in good condition. This is especially true for draft horses that pull heavy loads on hard surfaces. To provide continuing quality hoof care for the Clydesdales, a farrier comes to the zoo every 6 or 8 weeks to trim their hoofs and to check or replace their shoes. A horse's hoof, which grows continually like your fingernails, must be carefully trimmed to create an even surface on which to walk. After the hoof has been trimmed, the rough edges are smoothed with a heavy file. The horses are accustomed to these procedures and stand quietly until the farrier is done. After trimming and filing a hoof, the farrier begins to work on a new horseshoe. Each handmade shoe weighs 4 pounds and is individually shaped to fit a horse's hoof. First, the farrier puts it into shape on an anvil. The clanging of the hammer on the anvil is a sound once heard in blacksmith shops across the nation. Next, the farrier uses a punch to open the nail holes around the shoe. It's important that draft horses have good footing when pulling a cart or wagon, so a special metal is welded on the bottom of the shoes to give them better traction. Now the hot shoe is placed against the horse's hoof to sear it and to check the fit. This procedure doesn't hurt the horse because he has no feeling on this part of his hoof. The shoe is then removed and allowed to cool while the farrier makes the final adjustments to assure a perfect fit. The last step is to nail the shoe into place. The farrier uses a slightly different procedure for the front feet. A horse needs extra cushioning up front where he carries most of his weight. Special leather pads that act like shock absorbers are made to fit between the hoof and the shoe. A pine tar filler is used to fill in spaces between the foot and the pad. Then the shoe is nailed on. It takes the farrier about an hour and a half to do each horse, which means that zoo visitors can watch this fascinating process throughout the day. Daily care of the Clydesdales requires a considerable amount of time and effort, but it's nothing compared to the monumental task of preparing the horses for a parade or special event. Several days before the parade, the harness is cleaned with a leather preservative that makes the leather shine and prevents it from cracking. The Clydesdale harnesses were handmade by Amish craftsmen right here in Illinois. Each harness is fitted to a specific horse and its position in the hitch. A collar alone weighs about 60 pounds and up to 80 pounds with the rest of the harness attached. The English patent leather and chromed brass in each collar is polished until it gleams. After the harness has been cleaned, the wagon becomes the center of activity. It too must fit the picture of massive power in action. The Brookfield Zoo Clydesdale wagon is a replica of a turn-of-the-century dray wagon used in towns and cities. 2, 3, or 4 of the Clydesdales can pull the oak-paneled wagon, which weighs about 4,000 pounds. It's called a fifth wheel wagon because of the extra wheel, which is mounted flat under the driver's seat and between the front wheels. The fifth wheel allows the wagon to pivot sharply when turning corners. The entire wagon is carefully polished from top to bottom before every special event. A tractor, which is needed to pull the trailer, is rented the day before the parade. It's hooked to the trailer ahead of time so the Clydesdales can leave promptly the following day. Parade day activities begin early in the morning. The horses know something special is happening, but stand quietly while they're prepared for the big event. It'll take an hour to wash each horse. A paste soap is applied to the horse's body and a paste and coconut oil soap is used on the legs. The manes and tails are also washed to make braiding easier. To brighten the white hair on the lower legs, a mixture of baby powder and sulfur powder is applied and combed out later. When the horses are dry, their manes and tails are braided in the traditional fashion. The manes are braided to accentuate the neckline of the horse. The tails are braided to make them look decorative and to prevent tail hairs from getting tangled in the harness lines and hitch. While some handlers work on the horses, others are busy putting fresh straw in the semi-trailer stalls. After working so hard to whiten and brighten the horses' legs, The handlers want to make sure they stay that way. When the stalls are bedded down, the polished harnesses are brought out and then hung in place. Next, the wagon is covered with a heavy canvas tarp and is slowly pulled into the trailer by an electric winch. Once the horses have been bathed, brushed, and braided, they're walked into the semi-trailer. The loading process may seem easy, but it isn't as simple as it looks. Horses don't naturally walk into trailers. They must be trained to walk up a ramp and into the partitions that look different from their familiar barn stalls. If a horse trusts his handlers, it isn't long before loading becomes a normal activity. When the last horse is secure in his stall, it's off to the parade. At the parade site, the wagon is carefully unloaded and placed in position for hitching. Then the Clydesdales are unloaded one at a time. A finishing touch here and there before straps and buckles are secured, and a final polish is given to create an image of perfection. With gleaming harness in place, each horse is hitched to the wagon in a specific position. When the last horse is in place, the team is ready to go. Whether stepping out at a local parade or highlighting a special event at the zoo, the Clydesdale team is always a favorite with spectators. The sheer size of the horses and the solid clip-clop of their hoofs on pavement impresses onlookers of all ages. At the zoo, the Clydesdales are admired by millions of visitors throughout the year. Spring, summer, fall, or winter, the Clydesdales are ready to help zoo visitors enjoy the magic of the season. Perhaps our fascination with Clydesdales goes beyond their massive beauty and power, and back to a time when horsepower didn't refer to a man-made engine. Brookfield Zoo is proud of its gentle giants, who serve as impressive ambassadors for one of the finest zoos in the world.
I hope you've enjoyed this special look at our wonderful animals, but nothing compares to a real-life visit. So take advantage of your new membership by visiting us often, and be sure to read your quarterly zoo newsletter for upcoming special events. There's always something happening at Brookfield Zoo.